The Miami Heat hosted the Bucks last night in a big Eastern Conference matchup. Not only did the Heat pull off the win, but they did so with dominant defense, holding Milwaukee to a season-low 89 points. With the win, Miami became the only team to beat the Bucks twice this season. Here's Jimmy Butler after the game.
Was this your best version today, the defensive side, version of the Miami Heat?
Most definitely, I think so. But that's how we want to play all the time. Unfortunately, we do not do that. But tonight could be what we look like. I mean, that's a really good team over there, and they've been doing really great things all year long on both sides of the floor, home and away. So we take away from this that we can compete at the highest level, but we know that we have to play this way every day here on out.
So, Ramona, how excited should Heat fans be after this win?
Oh, I think that was a big win. I think that was what you would call a statement win because, the Heat have kind of been scuffling a little bit lately, but they've been really good at home and they've been pretty good against the Bucks. And I think the way that they defended Giannis is a blueprint that a lot of coaches are going to be stealing from. Like, that game tape is going to be circulating around the league for the next couple of weeks because, one, I think you need Bam Adebayo to have a game the way he did against Giannis, but in order to play that kind of defense. But they did some things in the way they defended him that I think other teams can steal from. And if you're Mike Budenholzer, you've got to study that tape and develop some counters if you're going to see teams like this in the playoffs.
They also forced him to settle for jump shots. I mean, that was the main thing, and he took the bait, which is not something I think he's going to do all the time. You got to force other guys on the Bucks to try to score, and they did that. But overall, this was a great win. I mean, wire to wire. I don't think there was any point where I thought the Bucks were going to win this game. And that's something to me that says as much about what the Heat have done as anything. I mean, Kelly Olynyk going off, that's something we've seen before, not something you expect to see every night. But it was the manner in which they won it in terms of controlling the game, not just defensively overall. They look like a team that knew what they were doing and will not be scared if they face up against them in a playoff.
The Heat aren't scared. I think they believe if they can get to the last 5 minutes of the game, especially after these trades that they made, that they can be in a real fight with these guys night in and night out. And offensively, I think they feel they're very comfortable with where they're at. And defensively, they were wondering if this was going to be able to manifest itself into the type of performance we saw yesterday. And maybe, as Jimmy pointed out, it's something you see more often from them, but it hasn't been the case during the regular season. But here, look at this. I mean, Bam, you pointed it out, Ramona, 1 of 10, right? Giannis was shot 1 of 10 against him. But in some of these other clips we saw, Andre Iguodala guarding him a little bit, and then Goran Dragic would come and swipe at him, right? They showed him a lot of different looks, even when Bam was guarding him and when he wasn't guarding him.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that when you have a great defender like Bam, there's not many defenders like Bam Adebayo in this league that can take a guy like Giannis and go one-on-one against him. But they showed him a lot of different looks, and they did that thing. Usually what you do with Giannis is
build the wall.
You build a wall. You just say, okay, go around. We're not letting you get through the paint. They didn't build the wall. They just kind of like showed the wall. Right. And so they would show it, and then they would pull it back, and it was, I don't want to say it was confusing, but what they did is exactly what we said, Clinton. They dared him to settle for mid-range jumpers. And that's when you're Giannis and you're as good as you are in the paint, that is settling. Yeah. And he has proven this year that he can make those, but that's not what the Bucks want to be doing.
It was their best defensive execution. It was their best defensive game of the season for me from an execution and a scheme standpoint. Sometimes you don't put those two things together. Both of those happened last night, and that's what happened with the win.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point, Ramona, it kind of was like the wall was like an accordion, right? It kind of expanded in and out occasionally depending on what was happening because they did a nice job of getting out to the three-point shooters too. In the first half, Milwaukee shot only 25% against them, and Giannis had only scored 6 points. So, they had done a good job, as you pointed out, Clinton, wire to wire against them. And this is what Pat Riley envisioned, right? When he made those deals, he felt like, you know what, this thing can be had. That the Bucks may have some holes, right? Particularly Giannis in his game offensively. And if we can kind of find a way to stay in these games against them, maybe we do sneak out of the Eastern Conference. I think the problem with that is everybody in the East seems to have their own kryptonite. Like Miami can't seem to be Boston. Boston seems to have their number. Miami, at least in the regular season, seems to have Milwaukee's number. And it just kind of flips around like that where there's not one team where I feel like it's completely dominant depending on the opponent.
Also, I mean, look, this is a one-night situation. They've played them twice over the span of a season. I don't know that the Bucks, when you get on them 2-3 games in a row, are going to have that kind of performance against the Heat in the same things. I'm not taking everything from the Heat. But they go into this series potentially in the playoffs knowing that they have at least one thing that can work, which is sometimes all you need in order to be able to get by.
I'm real curious to see what Milwaukee does with this because they have another big game coming up this week.
Lakers
on Friday. They they beat the Lakers in Milwaukee. The Lakers, of course, were at the end of a road trip and maybe didn't give that everything. But the Lakers have a guy who can do a reasonable approximation of what Bam Adebayo did and Anthony Davis. Now, he's been a little banged up, but if the Lakers throw the same kind of defense at them, I think then we do say there is a blueprint.
Yeah, I could see Frank Vogel taking a page out of Eric Spoelstra's book and doing something there.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.